Hi again, shifters. Welcome to warm-up video 2. Today we're just going to move on to lip slurs mostly, and it covers sections B, C, and D on the material that I sent by email. Um, I'm a big fan of lip slurs. I think they changed my playing. And the book that introduced me to them was a book by Irons called 27 Groups of Studies. There's the cover of that one. I'll see if I can scan a couple and send you a couple of the exercises from that book. The warm-up that I've written is sort of loosely based on studies from that book. And anyway, so hopefully you've done a little bit of mouthpiece routine from video 1. If not, you can just start here. You could always just do a couple of sirens just to get yourself going. And if it feels fine, then let's just get on to playing the trumpet. So the first note you play in a day on your trumpet should be the easiest note you can play. And somewhere in the mid-range, and it should be effortless. If that feels like too much work, just play a concert F. So just take a moment just to play a simple note like that when you first pick up your horn, and just make sure it's effortless and it sounds wonderful. Take a moment to find that sweet spot, the center of pitch. I've written a little bending exercise. That's the section B there. And the idea behind it is you want to find that sweet spot, just like on a tennis racket, when you don't have to put much pressure on and the ball sails over a million miles an hour. And the same thing happens on brass playing. If you find that sweet spot center, then the playing is a lot more effortless. So here's a little bending exercise set. So you noticed the sound kind of got dull, and it was a lot more effort when I bent the pitch below or bended it above the center. Once you're comfortable that you're in the center, then maybe try it on a different note. Once you're comfortable where the center is, then we'll jump into these lip slurs, which I've labeled as C. So I've just kind of written this one as a sample of the kind of warm-up I might do. I do different ones every day, but I'll just play through the one that I've written out here for y'all. So there's section D. And again, it's just like the mouthpiece routine. I started on a comfortable middle note, really simple, and I expanded the range in both directions. So next we're going to D, we just continue that pattern, a little exercise that expands it a little further in each direction. Getting down to some of the low notes here. So I often find it's a little harder to slur down than it is to slur up when you're especially first starting off in the day, but it's a useful thing to accomplish. So I'm finding all those pitches and slurring between each as effortlessly and easily as I can, and trying to minimize any changes of embouchure or pressure. Again, take little breaks. So the next one. And then I forgot to write the next one out, but it's the same pattern. You just press down the first valve, starting on a concert A flat, B flat on the trumpet. So now we've warmed up basically a couple of octaves, and that might be hard for some of you. If anything feels really difficult, go back to the one that felt easy. So the very first one I did, I think everybody can do it pretty effortlessly. You know, in fact, most of the C section you can do. I think everybody in the band can do those without any difficulty. The D section ones are a little more tricky. I've written out these ones on the trumpet player's paperwork. There's some what I labeled as advanced warm-ups, and I'll just demonstrate a few of those. I know these ones are not for everybody. Don't forget to take little breaks. I'll keep going. So when you're doing these right and blowing through all the slurs, it should sound like you're just running a mallet up and down a marimba and just hitting the keys. So that's the sound you're going for. No hesitation, just blow. Next. just realized I should talk a little bit about how we do these slurs if you're struggling at all. So keep in mind that there are 5 things that trumpet players can do to change from low notes to high notes. And I've listed them on the printed materials I sent you. The 5 things are, in my opinion, in order of importance, are wind speed, tongue arch, embouchure changes, pivot, and lip pressure. And all 5 things are used by every trumpet player, even those trumpet players who say they don't use one of them. There's plenty of evidence to show that even people who think they don't tongue arch do. So I'll just go through these quickly. Wind speed is the one you want to make the most use of. A high note is a fast, small stream of air. It's like blowing out birthday candles, and you're really old. That's, there you go. Practice blowing out birthday candles. A low note is a large volume of air moving slowly, like warming your hands on a cold winter's day. So that's what you should focus on mostly. To get those, when you change from low to high, it's and slow air, fast air. Interestingly, for the high notes, you actually use less air than you do for the low notes. So sometimes people overinflate when they go to play high notes and get kind of tense from trying to get too much air in. It doesn't take that much air to play the high notes. It takes more wind speed than volume. All right, the next one, tongue arch. It's kind of like the syllables ah, e. You can feel what your tongue does there, or when you whistle. So those, that's how you change high notes as well. And tongue arch works for a couple of reasons. One is it directs the airstream in different directions, and it also speeds the airstream up. It works kind of like tightening the nozzle on a hose, and the water shoots faster. Similarly, when you do a tongue arch, it makes the air move faster across your lips. The third thing, embouchure changes. Obviously, for basically an embouchure looks like that. We're all built a little differently. But generally, as we play higher notes, we need to firm in the corners here and roll the lips inwards a little bit. For low notes, we roll the lips outward a little bit. And you just have to experiment because everybody's got different lips. The next one is pivot. And this is the thing, this is pivot. And all trumpet players use it. Many trumpet players will play pivot downwards to play higher. There's some trumpet players who have different jaw structure, pivot the opposite directions. But experiment with these things. And then the last thing is lip pressure. Now every trumpet player says, oh, don't use any lip pressure. But the truth is they've actually put little torque devices in mouthpiece receptacles and found that really, really good trumpet players use the most pressure compared most of this. Their students usually can't handle the kind of pressure that most good trumpet players use. That said, you want to use the least pressure that gets the job done. So those 5 things, you concentrate on them in that order. Wind speed is most important. Tongue arch, embouchure changes, pivot, and the one you want to avoid is using any kind of pressure. It uses little as possible. Okay, so that's how you slur from low notes to high notes. Is there anything else I was going to tell you about today? Nope, I think that's it. So stay tuned for video 3 coming up at a station near you. Bye.